Imagine, at 1 a.m., you've been lying on your bed, your cell screens have blackened 3 times, and you've lighted the 4th time. Working news, family expectations, social media comparisons, ideal self phantoms, all lined up in your head. You've worked very well, back to the night, talking to everyone, studying books, playing cards early, you almost took the good guide from the time. But why do you think that you're trying to find peace, but you're arguing with yourself? So, you stand in front of a cruel choice. Either you continue to play the one who takes care of everyone, everything, and grows up online at the right time, perfect and decent, but permanently tense, or you simply give up and become someone who is not in and out of concern, in the eyes of the outside world, fighting chaos with numbness. You know that neither answer is right. Do you have a third way? Is there a mentality that doesn't run away, or that doesn't spoil it? Or that's an overstretch, or that's a script in your head that lives on itself? If all this tension comes not from itself, it comes from the one that you wear, it's really because the outside is too messy, it's because you're trying to control a battlefield that isn't yours. How much time in one day is there to adjust your image, not to look at your mind? Jung will remind you that what is not known will be at your disposal in the form of destiny. Kierkegaard says, anxiety is the stun of freedom. And, in an old tradition, Helms leaves a law like a spell, inside and outside. If you always use the position of control of the outside to pursue calm, a little fluctuation from the outside will be enough to drag down your entire heart wall. The real turn, perhaps not to continue working with the world, is to ask, can I change a narrative, who I am, and rewrite this war from the roots? The next journey will be one that is less polite. Unblock what you take for granted. See who is secretly defining your value, your anxiety, your not good enough. Only by looking at that level will you realize that calm is never an incentive, but an alternative structure. To start with, let me start by saying that you have not been calm in your heart, not because you are not smart enough, self-disciplined, or hard work, but because you have been looking for results without anxiety, with the bottom logic that creates anxiety. From small to large, you have been indoctrinated with the same invisible formula. Better equals more worthy of love, more cooperative equals safer, more hard work equals better control of life. So you have learned 3 things. Everything is done to yourself, responsible for all emotions, and self-incrimination for all the results. Because behind this logic, there are a few deeper forces pushing you. The first layer is the psychological mechanism itself. Your brain is born with 2 preferences, magnifying threats and pursuing certainty. It was used to keep you alive in the original era, but now in the ocean of information and expectations, it turns you into an early warning radar that is highly sensitive to any small fluctuations. Any unread news, another cold response, a delay in work may be marked by your system as danger, loss of sense of value, loss of belonging, loss of opportunity. So you begin to overscan the external signals, trying to react to uneasy instantaneity, rather than on the basis of internal coordinates. You are not building your life, but rather filling holes in condition. The second level, the shadow, is what Jung said. The more you try to be mature, reliable, moderate, capable, and well-connected people, the more you reject your shadow, the more you have to prove that you are good, the more you need to prove that you are good, the more you cannot leave the outside evaluation, the more you depend on the outside, the more your palm is broken by one eye, a few words. You think you're in the middle of a process, and you're actually running away from the real yourself. Third, what Nietzsche and Jung saw as treatment and meaning economy. Modern society gives you the narrative that pain must be addressed immediately, emotions must be restored to productivity quickly, and everything is useful. So how can you really be quiet under such narratives? You sit there and report to yourself, am I changing? Am I aware right now? Am I not supposed to have a negative mood? And on the 4th floor, it's the cruel reality revealed by the Helms law, inside and outside. Your inner narrative is that I have to be responsible for everything, and the outside world naturally grows a lot of situations that need you to be responsible. Your inner identity is the people who solve the problem, and your life is constantly in a situation that requires you to fight the fire. It's not the universe that deliberately targets you, but you scream, magnify and stay in reality that proves that I have to hold. So calm is not simply relax for you, but threatens you with a whole set of human logic. If you really let go of your hand and don't do everything, it's irresponsible. If you don't cooperate so much, then nobody likes you. If you allow yourself to be normal, you'll be left behind. So, if we don't move the narrative and not move the definition of who you are, then all that you're going to breathe, meditate, think about, and manage the time, it's just to rub the outer shell on an overloaded engine. The real question is that you can finally be set out. Is there a mentality that no longer presupposes perfect control of the outside and total optimization of yourself, but instead makes you sober, stronger and more secure? If you want, we'll start with the next paragraph. Take a little bit of the structure and let you see. Calm is not about the sugar of a good child, but about the spin-off of your narrative and identity. You think you're just a little tired and you're a little under pressure. But if you stretch the timeline, you find that your system will still automatically scan, even if the outside is relatively secure. Who isn't satisfied? Is there a risk? It's not good enough. You begin to overread all the silences, make negative predictions of all the delays, feel the worst out of all the blurs. You're not thinking, you're defending against this constant, expected threat that keeps your nervous system at a slightly higher level than normal activation. Sleep, wake up, be sensitive to sound, and stress to change. You can always go to work, talk, laugh. But your baseline has been high. The second level, intimacy, will be quietly rewritten by you. The inner narrative is, if I'm not good enough, they'll leave, and you'll do a few things in all relationships. 1. Over-explain. 1. Look at the other. You go back to 3 long lines of clarification, compensation, responsibility. 2. Advances to apologize. I'm sorry. First of all. 3. Emotional self-observation. Always say all right, I understand, and forget about what you really feel. At first, you look so sweet, you know what you really feel. At the end of the day, you think, why am I so hard? You don't really understand. At the same time, it's the only way that you can't stop. The third level, the chronic collapse of occupation and creativity. You think that anxiety will make you go further, and the opposite is true. The persistent lack of internal calm will make it more difficult for you to cope with the deeply focused blank period. Write the half of the story and try to cut out the news. Do the project key, suddenly feel like you can't do it, and try to draw a little bit of self-enhanced comfort. When you meet, you hear other people's advice and start the trial immediately in your own heart. 17 small chords. Are you not ready? Are you exposed to ignorance? Are you going to be phased out? You use a lot of cognitive resources to pre-play failure, to cure impressions, to counter possible denials, rather than to actually raise the quality of your life in the long term. The result is, you look busy, you look up, you are anxious, and you are hard to prove it. The last few years have left. There is no truly sunk work. There is no, I do it, I recognize it, that you are standing behind it. The fourth level, the social narrative, is closed by your anxiety. There are few people who are willing to deal with this habitually unsettling person, just the most good person of the time. He is willing to work overtime because he does not want to be taken care of. He is willing to buy a variety of upgraded self-products because he feels he is a little short of himself. He is willing to do more in relationships because he is afraid to lose. He is willing to express himself in public opinion because he does not want to be labeled unconcerned and incorrect. Your anxiety gives the system the impetus to contribute to the platform's retention rate, to the market's appetite, and to the organization's extra output. So you find that the more calm you are, the easier you are to say, the better you are, the better you are, the better you are, the less border-bound, the better you are, the better you are, the more you are described as spiritual. On the 5th floor, it's the deepest. You'll lose your imagination of the word quiet. In your mind, calm is no longer an exaggeration, no trouble, no conflict, no mood swings, as a peddler. So, as long as you have desire, anger, and frustration, you decide that you are not good enough, not awake, not worthy of calm. You start to commit an internal tyranny of yourself. How sad. How jealous. How afraid? How and how? You know so much about it. You treat all humanity as a failure and all complexity as a step backwards. This self-judgment is itself a new unsettling factory. Here, you should have felt a little discomfort. Unable to calm was not an isolated issue, but the result of a combination of psychological patterns, relationship dynamics, social structures, value narratives. So the next thing you do is a little bit renegade. It's not to teach you to be softer, to know better, to upgrade your adjustment skills, but to teach you to remove the I have to hold forever identity and to redefine who I am and why I am entitled to calm. If you're willing to endure this level of honesty, we can start a real rebellion. You think you're just a little tired and a little under pressure. But if you stretch the timeline, you'll find that you think you can handle the small fluctuations of the past, and you're pushing your life slowly into a fixed orbit, which is called habitually unsettling, structurally unsettling. Start with the most hidden layer. Your brain is being trained as an internal alarm. When you are on a long-term state of high alert, high self-responsibility, and high coordination, the brain gradually uses this as a default model. That is, even if the outside world is relatively secure, your system will still automatically scan who is not satisfied. Where is the risk? Is it not good enough? You begin to overread all the silence, make negative predictions of all delays, fill the worst versions of all the blurry. You are not thinking, you are defending. This constant, expected threat will keep your nervous system at a slightly higher level of activation than normal: sleep, awakening, heartbeat, sound sensitive, stressful. You can go to work, chat, laugh, but your baseline has been raised. Your day, from the moment you get up, consumes the energy of the future. The second level, intimacy, will be quietly rewritten by you. The inner narrative is, if I'm not good enough, they'll leave, and you'll do a few things in all relationships. 1. Over-explain. 1. Look at the other. You go back to 3 long lines of clarification, compensation, responsibility. 2. Advances to apologize. I'm sorry. First of all. 3. Emotional self-observation. Always say all right, I understand, and forget about what you really feel. At first, you look so sweet, you know what you really feel. At the end of the day, you think, why am I so hard? You don't really understand. At the same time, it's the only way that you can't stop. The third level, the chronic collapse of occupation and creativity. You think that anxiety will make you go further, and the opposite is true. The persistent lack of internal calm will make it more difficult for you to cope with the deeply focused blank period. Write the half of the story and try to cut out the news. Do the project key, suddenly feel like you can't do it, and try to draw a little bit of self-enhanced comfort. When you meet, you hear other people's advice and start the trial immediately in your own heart. 17 small chords. Are you not ready? Are you exposed to ignorance? Are you going to be phased out? You use a lot of cognitive resources to pre-play failure, to cure impressions, to counter possible denials, rather than to actually raise the quality of your life in the long term. The result is, you look busy, you look up, you are anxious, and you are hard to prove it. The last few years have left. There is no truly sunk work. There is no, I do it, I recognize it, that you are standing behind it. The fourth level, the social narrative, is closed by your anxiety. There are few people who are willing to deal with this habitually unsettling person, just the most good person of the time. He is willing to work overtime because he does not want to be taken care of. He is willing to buy a variety of upgraded self-products because he feels he is a little short of himself. He is willing to do more in relationships because he is afraid to lose. He is willing to express himself in public opinion because he does not want to be labeled unconcerned and incorrect. Your anxiety gives the system the impetus to contribute to the platform's retention rate, to the market's appetite, and to the organization's extra output. So you find that the more calm you are, the easier you are to say, the better you are, the better you are, the better you are, the less border-bound, the better you are, the better you are, the more you are described as spiritual. The fifth floor is the deepest. You will slowly lose your imagination of the word quiet. In your mind, calm is no longer an exaggeration. There is no trouble, there is no conflict, there is no mood swings, and there is as far away from reality as the pagans. So, as long as you have desire, there is anger, and there are grievances, you conclude that you are not good enough, not awake enough, and not worthy of calm. You begin to carry out your internal tyranny. How sad. How jealous. How afraid. You know so much. You treat all human sex as a failure and all complexity as a retreat. This self-judicing is in itself a new factory of unsettling peace. As you see it here, you should have felt a little uncomfortable. No peace was not an isolated issue, but rather the result of a combination of psychological patterns, relationship dynamics, social structures, value narratives. And you're a little fatigue, insomnia, glass, self-pity, not a small problem, but rather an indication that you are already deeply in an environment where you are not allowed to live and you are trained to speak for this environment. So, the next thing to do is a little renegade, not to teach you to be gentle, to understand things, to upgrade the adjustment techniques, but to teach you to take off the identity of I must always hold and to redefine I and why I am entitled to calm. If you want to endure this level of honesty, we can start a real rebellion. Imagine an extreme scenario. One day, all your external labels were temporarily pressed on silent keys. No one came to ask you about your performance, no one came to check your emotional stability, no one came to assess your discomfort, no one asked you to understand the point of maturity. You were sitting in an empty room, you were alone, and you had no reason to be gentle with yourself. The question came up, there was no reason to be gentle with yourself in this state. There was no reason to be calm. If your brain started to nervous, no, what am I? I'm not that good. You saw the tip of the truth. All the ways you used to try to intellectually calm implied a hidden premise. When I become a better person, I will allow myself to be less nervous. The sentence sounds reasonable, but it hides a deep self-negation. You now are not worthy of calm. The real turn is the other way around, and it's very uncomfortable. You need to think of calm as the starting point of your birth, and then start from that point, choosing who you're going to be. It's not good enough to be reassured, it's good enough to be reassured, then to decide what is really good for you. It sounds like chicken soup, but if you look at it philosophically and psychologically, it's really cold. In other words, the less you accept yourself, the more you compensate for it. Kierkegaard says that anxiety comes from freedom. When you realize that everything is your choice, you faint. But it is also the only way you can really be your entrance. If you don't say, they force me to do this, you start saying, I choose to continue/not play that kind of person. Kalmesh's law is, like inside and outside, to be written here. What you think of yourself, the world gives you a battlefield. If you always see yourself as being unable to be calm, reality keeps giving you new gaps. So, the secret of calm is not a breathing technique, a spell, but a structural shift from strength for security to strength for security in a way that I agree. You will ask, it sounds so abstract, how do I know if I really changed? Simple, look at a criterion. When you say no, do you jump out of a judge immediately to accuse you of selfishness, laziness, and irresponsibleness? If so, you live in old narratives. You think it is border, actually guilt. If you can say no, then calmly admit, this choice is to allow me to be present for a long period of time, not for a short period of time, and your heart is stable. That is the new foundation. Here, we compress the whole film into a one page that you can take away, not to give you a new KPI, but to help you carve this new structure into your life. A paper-based tool, Right Duched, writes, write out the new narrative. Asterisk on paper, write down 2 columns, asterisk old narratives, asterisk I'm the good person only if everyone's satisfied. Asterisk I'm the good person. Asterisk I'm the one who keeps trying, I'm the one who's mature. Asterisk the new narrative, asterisk I can do as good as I can in real terms. Asterisk I'm entitled to rest before I decide how to use my energy. Asterisk I'm the one who's responsible for my response, not for everyone's feelings. From the microscopic point of view, for the next 72 hours, just one thing, in any moment that makes you instinctively want to please, want to explain, want to carry a little bit more, even for a second, you ask in your heart, what will I say if I believe that I am in peace? How will I arrange today? Then, go a little closer to that answer, not extreme, but partial. For example, the extra working mail at night can be returned in the morning. There is no need for a perfect response to every unfair word, some simply to write down this is the other's problem. There is no need to pretend that you are okay, and you can admit to being tired in front of the safe person, not to play indestructible. Question: let go of an identity that keeps you calm, and within 72 hours, choose to put down a character label that you most often play, but that consumes you. Good people on the line forever, the answering machine that knows everything, the emotional trash station, an understanding machine that never bothers anyone, not to declare that, I do nothing from here, but to allow myself to do nothing for the first time in a specific situation. Let your body remember, once you refuse, the world is not destroyed, and you are still there. In doing so, you will be surprised to find that the so-called secrets of the calm mind, not learned from the outside, but taken from you. Finally, leave the final question to you in the exit and entrance of this video. Which old story are you going to put down first? Write that phrase in the comment area, not for others, but for yourself to publicly propose a terminus clause. From this moment on, you no longer have to prove that you deserve to live in this world with constant tension. You begin to try, on the ground that, I am entitled to peace, and then choose to work, choose good, choose to bear. That will no longer be good for fate, but you write your own.